Add it all up, and households in the United States owe more than $2.6 trillion in consumer debt. And that doesn't even include what they owe on their mortgages. Helping people deal with all of this is the duty of my next guest. Melinda Opperman is the Senior Vice President for Community Outreach at Springboard. They're a nonprofit consumer counseling group serving all of Southern California and beyond. Melinda, always good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for coming in. All right. Let me just ask you the question this way. We're starting to see some signs of recovery. Does that mean that you're seeing a drop in the amount of households, people that are coming to you for assistance?
We're still seeing a large volume amount of clients. However, there is a decline in the amount of clients that are needing mortgage assistance, mortgage foreclosure prevention type counseling.
Because we kind of powered through that, didn't we? Really been over the last few years, right?
Correctly. So we are starting to see some green shoots.
All right, so talk about what Springboard does and what you do to help people.
Well, we're a HUD-approved housing counseling agency. We've been in existence for 38 years. Consumers can find a HUD-approved housing counseling agency on their website of HUD.gov or contact Springboard. Our web address is springboard.org, and we help people come up with a budget, a client action plan, and solutions and options to stay in their home. We also help consumers with pre-purchase, first-time home buyer counseling.
Right.
Our classes have been so busy, we've actually had to add another class.
That's good.
The classes are maxed out.
That's good. That's a very positive sign, I think, don't you? Yeah. Well, what about on the credit card side? What are you doing now to help people that have really built up that credit card debt and don't have a way to cope with it right now?
Credit card debt is, many consumers are truly maxed out.
Sure.
They've had to rely on their credit cards as income. And so Springboard is here to offer free budget and credit counseling. And we also offer, if it's the right solution, a program called a debt management plan, where we will consolidate, it's not a loan, it's their own resources, anywhere from 6, 7, 8 credit cards into one manageable monthly payment. The creditors typically will reduce the interest rate, stop late fees, over limit fees, and even re-age delinquent accounts. It's a great solution,
Sure.
And they're often out of debt, George, 3, 4, 5 years.
Instead of 20 or 30 years, right?
Correct.
Yeah, when you pay those minimum payments, it takes a long time. Is bankruptcy a viable alternative for some people?
It's always the last resort. It is absolutely always the last resort. But Springboard is approved by the Executive Office of the United States Trustee to provide pre-bankruptcy counseling and debtor education counseling. So we do speak with consumers about administrative relief if that's the option that's necessary.
Is money still a big problem in a lot of households, and where it can be a very divisive situation? And how do you deal with that, Melinda, going into a situation when people get married? Sometimes they don't realize there's a lot of baggage that comes with that other person. They may have big credit problems. How do you suggest people deal with that?
Not casting judgment or pointing fingers at each other, George. And of course, we call that kind of the emotional economics. There's
Sure.
spenders and savers in all income levels, whether it's low income or high income. So often it's just coming to a meeting place, and many of our clients will use our website to look at online classes, budgeting tools, putting things in writing as far as a plan and a strategy to get out of debt and begin to save.
What's your advice on checking your credit report periodically?
Great advice. You need to check your credit report at least once a year. There's a chance, 1 in 4 chance of having an error serious enough to stop a loan, stop a background check on a job. You've got to check your credit report.
And that's people may not realize that an employer can check your credit report.
Correct.
Renting an apartment,
Exactly.
getting any kind of loan.
Exactly. So your credit rating is your financial DNA, and so your credit rating becomes your credit score, and you want to make sure that you're doing everything to keep that at its best and optimum.
I've heard of annualcreditreport.com. Is that a good resource for getting that credit report?
That's correct, right. There's some others that are out there that are offering jingles or other options.
That's
and
right.
So you want to go to the one that you just mentioned to get the true free credit report.
Because when you get those credit reports there, it's not going to cost you anything, number one, and it's not going to ding your credit score, is it?
That's correct. It's a soft inquiry. It's called a consumer disclosure, and it doesn't impact your credit score like other inquiries would if you're doing a hard type inquiry to try to have credit extended to you.
Yeah.
And that's also an important point. Lots of times people are going to refinance a home or even purchase a car, and they think if they have too many inquiries it'll lower their credit score. What FICO, Fair Isaac Corporation, has done is they will bundle all the inquiries together and treat it as one if it's
Oh,
an
really?
auto or a car purchase. So please be sure and comparison shop.
I'm glad to hear that. That's new information for me. I appreciate that. Real quick, 30 seconds or so. 6 months ago, a lot of people made a New Year's resolution to get their house in order. They haven't done it. One or two things you would suggest they do?
Automate your savings right now. You probably won't miss it. Many employers that do direct deposit into your checking can also split off a portion and send it to your savings account.
Great.
If not, do that with your bank or your credit union. Second would be if you've not signed up for your employer's retirement plan, do that now. Many people are leaving money on the table.
Great tips. Great. Always good to see you, Melinda. Great advice. And the website again for you?
Springboard.org.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, George.
All right, appreciate it.